Can I just start by asking you what is your view of whether your government, your military, has done a good enough job of proving their claim that there was a major command center and bunker under Al-Shifa?
It's already known for many years that they have in the bunkers that originally was built by Israeli constructors underneath Shifa were used as a command post of the Hamas and a kind of a junction of several tunnels, part of the system. I don't know to say to what extent it is a major. It's probably not the only kind of command post. Several others are under other hospitals or in other sensitive places, but it's for sure had been used by Hamas even during this conflict.
Well, when you say it was built by Israeli engineers, did you misspeak?
No, decades ago we were running the place. So we held them. It was decades, many decades ago, probably 4 decades ago, that we helped them to build these bunkers in order to enable more space for the operation of the hospital within the very limited size of this compound.
Okay, all right. Well, that's sort of thrown me a little bit. So these were there for a long, long time, but you're claiming, or they're claiming, that they're used as a major command center. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that as yet, they have not shown conclusive proof of that. So may I ask you what you would...
Christian,
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's not easy. We take care not to hurt the operation of the hospital. So we warned for many days that we are going to come there. Then we came very close, very cautiously in order to avoid a loss of life among the doctors, the patients, or the nurses there. So as a result of it, the Hamas had all the time in the world to try to clean it, to try to erase it, to try to make it less kind of apparent when you come into that it was in use. But we are confident. I cannot go into all the intelligence we got. We are confident that for years it is already used as a kind of major or non-major, but as a command post for Hamas activities in the northern part of the Gaza Strip.
Okay, so Prime Minister, you, as I said, have been the defense minister and chief of the general staff of the IDF. You're a military guy as well as being a major political person. You know, you say that you've taken a lot of care, but most of the world, including the United States, believes and has said that you need to take more care, that there are more than 11,000 dead, including at least 4,000 to 5,000 children, and we see these images. So I guess my question to you is, would you have conducted this operation like it's being conducted?
Look, first of all, I'm not sure about the numbers, but even if it's half of the numbers that I've mentioned, it's a major disaster for those people, and we cannot recover their lives. But having said that, following the slaughtering of some 1,200 people and abducting of another 250, we had to operate against the military capabilities of Hamas and its capacity to reign over the Gaza Strip. This cannot be accomplished from the air, so we have to deploy tens of thousands of pairs of boots on the ground and do it systematically. Probably there is no other way to do it. And I would basically doing the same way. I cannot go into the tactical details. I'm not even acquainted with them in real time right now when we are speaking. But give and take, it's the same kind of operation. I want just to draw your attention. Try to think what an American president would have done if certain corner in the northern west part of Mexico, around Tijuana, some 120 square miles, were held by a terror organization that reigned over the area, and at certain Thanksgiving morning, thousands of his terrorists enter into San Diego and massacre 40,000 Americans. 40,000, that's the equivalent number, within 24 hours. I'm totally confident the American president, as a commander-in-chief, would order to erase Tijuana from Earth. And I could justify it.
Okay.
So you have to come to grip with the fact that we suffered it's not just terror, it's a crime against humanity in the most barbarian way. You cannot let it still exist when the operation is about to end.
Okay, so you say it's about to end. Okay, well, we know what the United States did in Iraq and in Afghanistan, so we know that there's a lot of civilian death, but that also had massive blowback and massive criticism from the International Human Rights Committee, and the people on the ground, the people left in those places, essentially were the terrorists of today, you know, ISIS and the Taliban and I don't know what. The blowback was huge. So my question to you is, are you concerned about the increased radicalization after this? Do you believe that Hamas can be actually eliminated?
Look, I'm confident that its military capabilities could be eliminated, not to the last RPG or the last rocket, but could be destroyed. I'm confident that his capacity to reign over the Gaza Strip could be destroyed. There will be still a question to whom we will hand over it later. But I know as well that unlike Daesh or Al-Qaeda, who were pariah in the Arab world, backed only by the Wahhabis, probably in Saudi Arabia, the Hamas is a political movement that, put aside the terror aspect of it, has a much, a very big support. In Egypt, you have the Muslim Brotherhood. In Turkey, the AKP, the party in power, perceive itself as a sister, kind of ideologically sister of Hamas. And the same about 1/3 of the parliament in Jordan. So they have an ideology, they have a movement. We do not pretend to kill ideologies or to erase dreams and wishes from the minds of people. So we are fully realistic. Destroying the military capacity and its capacity to reign over the Gaza Strip, not over Turkey or to have an opposition in Egypt.
I just want to play a little bit of sound, again, to ask you about proportionality. And it starts with you and what you told me even before the major air campaign and certainly before the ground invasion occurred.
Boiling blood is not a good recipe for successful strategic decisions.
While we sought and got justice, we made mistakes. So I caution the government of Israel not to be blinded by rage.
But let me ask you not to be consumed by rage, because what makes the difference between a civilized society and a terrorist group is the respect for human life.
Prime Minister, are you comfortable with do you believe that rage is a big motivating factor here? And are you comfortable with the proportion of death that is happening in Gaza right now?
Look, rage is very natural kind of instinct in human beings. And in a way, it's a result of evolution and need to survive in tougher environments. At the same time, I repeat what I have said, that boiling blood is not a good kind of guide for strategic purposes. And the other voices I have heard from just means that old people give clever advice to the younger ones. But having said that, I should tell you that we are acting, doing our best. We feel fully committed to international law, fully committed to this principle of proportionality. We are doing our best. We once and again warn every place that we are going to attack. And I recommend to all of us to look to the causal chain of what causes the death of people. On the Israeli side, the slaughtering were done by these barbarian terrorists. On the Gazan side, it was done by them, by the same terrorists, in a different way. They put a gun to the temple of these civilians and blocked them from moving to the safe place at the southern side of the Gaza Strip. As a result of it, they held them as a human shield deliberately, being fully aware of what they are doing, and I don't see a way to relieve them from the responsibility of this loss of life. We cannot afford to give an impunity to the Hamas just by allowing them to have their own people at a handgun to protect them.
So then let me ask you this. I know that's the position of the government. Can you tell me then how one can justify the position of the current government and the current Prime Minister, who, as we know from open source material, reports, his own words, in fact, you tell me because you were there, how did he have a strategy for Hamas in Gaza? You tell us.
Look, I said once and again, I can repeat it here in English, but I say it also in Hebrew. Netanyahu had a grave mistake about the strategy. Well, some 5 years ago, some people will tell you more than 5 years ago, he shaped a strategy. As he defined it, whoever wants to make sure that we can block any possibility of a two-state solution has to support my position of keeping the Hamas strengthened and kicking and alive. He was even ready to bribe them with protection money that came in cash from Qatar, and to weaken the Palestinian Authority rather than the other way around. And I belong to about half of the public in Israel who believe that the two-state solution is the only viable solution in the long term. It's probably not, once again, the right time, because two people are still motivated by the instinct of rage and the boiling blood. But it become, we strongly believe that that's the only viable option, not because of justice for the Palestinians, which is not my highest priority, but it's a justifiable one for them. It's because of the compelling imperative for us, Israelis, in order to protect our own security, our own future, our own identity, that we need to have this two-state solution. And I strongly believe that a line could be delineated within the Promised Land, within which we will have 80% of the settlers and all our strategic interests, and will spread on a single-digit number of percent of the overall area of the West Bank, to live side by side with a demilitarized but viable Palestinian state that control both this part of the Gaza Strip and this part of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Mm-hmm. And we need it for our own future. But it's not a secret that a little bit more than half of the Israeli public feel that the great vision is one state. I think that it's disaster, but we are a democratic state, so we have to convince them, not to coerce them. And that's a big challenge, especially following October 7, when some people are motivated by the event to go even to be more extreme in demanding revenge, and some of them think that there is no way to survive in the Middle East unless you adopt these barbarian rules. And of course, that's only a slim minority. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's not easy to convince after October 7th the Israeli public that the two-state solution still remains the only viable one on the long term.
So, as you said, that Netanyahu does not want that, and nor does his coalition partners. And you've talked about public opinion in Israel. Public opinion is also very, very clear in Israel that the vast majority of people want him to go now or after this military. Yair Lapid, the former prime minister, has come out and said he needs to go now. Do you agree with that?